Change has come to America.
Believe it. Help is on the way.
Knock, knock.
Big contest here on Tuesday that remind us they're all former President Trump's to lose because he's decided to engage in them. First off, in the Senate race, former football star Herschel Walker is coasting to a Republican win here. He'll take on the Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock in what promises to be one of the most expensive and divisive Senate contests this cycle. But it's the governor's race where former President Trump is perhaps most personally invested. Republican Brian Kemp facing a challenge from the former Senator David Perdue, who was put up to the race by Mr. Trump. Kemp, however, appears to be pulling away in what will end up being a general election matchup between the governor and his former Democratic opponent, Stacey Abrams. But there's another contest that we wouldn't normally focus on here on Face the Nation, the race for Secretary of State. Brad Raffensperger, like Governor Kemp, decided to stand against former President Trump's push to change the results of the 2020 election here in Georgia and somehow get him to win. Raffensperger's in a crowded field, and he's likely headed to a runoff election next month. But elections observers all across the country concerned that if he loses, it's a sign that someone like the former president can come in and try to manipulate elections.
Primary day in various states across this here union. Alabama, Arkansas, Texas, there's a primary Democratic one where you're going to have a pro-life and a pro-choice candidate vying for the Democratic nomination. I would go with pro-choice at this point. Sorry, got to say, Cuellar is, anti, and Cisneros is pro. This is important. We can't lose one single pro. We can't lose one single person who is on the side of privacy rights, which I keep going over, is the issue in Roe v. Wade. And then, of course, we have Georgia. Now, Georgia is interesting only in that you have Herschel Walker running for a Senate seat. Really? How in the world did America get so twisted up? How did we get so messed up? How did we get so third world that we literally have a guy who admits that he's got, death fantasies, a guy who's held guns to women's heads, a guy who, says that he's, suffering from mental illness, just coasting on in to being the GOP's nominee for the United States Senate. Oh, my God. And then, of course, in that report from CBS, they left out one of the contenders, one of the actual contenders for the governorship. Okay, so it's not just Brian Kemp running against, inside trader David Perdue. Everybody has forgotten why David Perdue lost his Senate seat, okay? He's an inside trader, just like Kelly Loeffler. These were people that padded their own, wealth on the backs of their constituents. But it's interesting that David Perdue decided that he was going to cleanse himself with some crazy, lie about elections being stolen from Donald Trump in the 2020. Just saying, but they left out that the race is not just between two people. You have another one. You have Kandiss Taylor. Anybody? Kandiss Taylor? Have you seen the bus? Kandiss Taylor is also running for the GOP nomination for governor of Georgia.
We are not ashamed. We're going to do a political rally, and we're going to honor Jesus. We're going to say his name. We're not going to compromise. We're going to have Pastor Todd Coconato that came up here and delivered an awesome word. And we're not going to be ashamed, and they're not going to tell us separation of church and state. We are the church, and we run the state.
Oh, tax exemption, anybody? Tax exemption. That is Kandiss Taylor saying we are the church and we run the state. There is no separation between church and state in her weird world, and it is a weird world. Did you see the bus? Show what's on my screen now. Thank you. See right there, Jesus, guns, and babies. Do you have to take all three, or is this a la carte? I don't know. Jesus, guns, and babies. The guns and babies part are next to each other. These are the pro-life people, everybody. These are the pro-lifers. And she's appearing right there, if you'll notice, on Lindell TV. Mike Lindell, who's running Chiron at the bottom of her campaign stops, using the promo code blah, blah, blah at mypillow.com to save up to 66%, which is almost 666%, which would be Luciferian. It would be, very satanic, I have to say. The Jesus, Guns, and Babies, though, kind of gets you. We are the church. We run this state. So I guess if you're a resident of Georgia and you want a pothole fixed, you need to pray about it, is what her entire platform is. This country is so crazy. It is so nuts. It is so bat crap. It is so off the rails. It is so bizarre. And people are literally, trying to figure out whether or not we should call them out on this craziness, this wicked evil, this combi pack of guns and babies and Jesus. Really? That's a question?